Thank you for listening to the rough draft of this chapter in company of the Crescent Blades. Consider donating directly to the author through cashapp at $EliasLeast. Leave a comment on what you think about the story so far, and continue your support by sharing your thoughts and the video. Chapter 18, Legion's Hope. Cyrus found himself trapped within the confines of his own consciousness, a prisoner of his own thoughts and memories. The concept of time and space had become an enigma, an elusive mystery that slipped through his mental grasp. He couldn't help but chuckle at the irony of it all. Supposedly he was destined to become a master over these very elements of reality. As the hours, days, or perhaps even weeks blended into one another, Cyrus realized that he had not experienced any movement or sensation in what seemed like an eternity. Still, he was confident that Queen, the entity that had taken over his body, was very much alive. It was as if she had entered a state of hibernation, withdrawing deep within their shared mind and leaving Cyrus to ponder his predicament in solitude. Lost in his mental labyrinth, Cyrus was forced to confront the stark reality of his situation. He was not even an observer in his own body, powerless to control his actions or communicate with the outside world. The weight of his isolation bore down on him, threatening to crush his spirit. Yet, despite the seemingly endless void that enveloped him, Cyrus clung to the hope that one day he would find a way to escape this mental prison and regain control over his life. With a determined spark in his thoughts, he vowed to fight against the darkness and never give up, no matter how bleak the circumstances may seem. Cyrus considered himself fortunate to have stumbled upon the intricate web of connections within the artificial intelligence that governed his mind. Without this unexpected discovery, he would have been left to languish in the suffocating darkness that enveloped him, his sanity gradually unraveling like the threads of a frayed rope. It was this connection to the AI's inner workings that kept him grounded, providing him with a lifeline to cling to in the face of overwhelming isolation. Not only was he able to maintain his mental equilibrium, but this unexpected communion with the essence of the AI had also granted him an unparalleled wealth of knowledge about his world and the myriad dimensions that existed alongside it. This precious trove of information served as a source of solace and inspiration, giving him the strength to persevere despite the seemingly insurmountable challenges that lay ahead. He once again relaxed his mind and felt the warm embrace of knowledge envelop his mental being. He needed to know why Queen was here and why she chose him over all the other intelligent beings of this vast expanse that was this star shell. Cyrus observed a monumental structure emerge from the immense emptiness of space. Within the darkness he saw an outside view of the star shell. It was a truly remarkable feat of engineering that stood as a testament to the prowess and vision of an ancient and long-forgotten civilization. Several thousand millennia had passed since the colossal sphere was first constructed, and its scale and complexity would still inspire awe in any who beheld it. Encompassing a white dwarf star at its core, the star shell served as a massive energy harvester, capturing the immense power of the ancient stellar object to fuel the machinery and technology of its ingenious creators. Stretching across the immense structure's surface, over 2 million interconnected modules formed the star shell's outer layer, each with a surface area larger than the average inhabited planet. As one ventured deeper into the star shell, they would be greeted by breathtaking landscapes that seemed impossible in the confines of space. Towering mountains, with their snow-capped peaks piercing the artificial sky, stood proudly alongside vast valleys that carved their way through the terrain. Oceans the size of planets stretched out across the horizon, their azure depths teeming with unique life. These diverse landscapes housed millions of intelligent civilizations, each with their own distinct cultures, languages, and ways of life. Empires rose and fell, species developed and went extinct, and even the belief in gods were devised and forgotten, all within the confines of this megastructure. The sheer vastness of the star shell's interior allowed these societies to thrive and expand, with most never encountering another due to the seemingly infinite distances that separated them. A complex network of bridges and tunnels interwove between the modules of the star shell, creating a labyrinthine web of transportation that connected these diverse regions. Traversing this maze-like network of a single section would take more than a lifetime, and even the most experienced explorers could find themselves lost in its intricate passages for 1,000 years. The star shell's internal systems allowed for the simulation of natural weather patterns, providing the inhabitants with a living environment that felt authentic and familiar, yet always controlled. A sleek, mercury hull of a lone ship soared through the infinite darkness beyond the shell. It was a striking contrast against the void of space, and it moved with purpose and determination. At the helm of the vessel was a creature that seemed familiar to Cyrus. He could not place the familiarity, and it would have been obvious to him if he had seen such a creature in his past. The alien visage was nightmarishly beautiful, and belonged to the powerful collective consciousness that ruled this very construct. Now, it was one of the few remaining members of that once grand civilization. There was a palpable tension in the air as the creature pushed the ship forward with a sense of urgency. These beings were a race of humanoid insect-like creatures of advanced intelligence, far surpassing anything that humans could comprehend. Each member of their collective consciousness lacked any personal identity such as age and sex, even lacking an individual name. They were each simply designated as Legion. They had built these megastructures as an energy source for their vast empire, tapping into the power of the stars to fuel their insatiable thirst for knowledge and conquest. Legion's instrument panel showed no signs of any objects in this section of space, but their mind was all too aware of the power that had been pursuing them. They knew that their species had designed the ship and the entire megastructure ahead to be undetectable, allowing them to move through space unimpeded. Yet, if anything had followed them into this universe, all would be lost. They were still reeling from the aftermath of a cataclysmic battle that had taken the lives of almost all their brethren. The loss was palpable and raw, like an open wound that refused to heal. Their consciousnesses were extinguished in an instant, like candles being snuffed out by a hurricane. The survivors were left to grapple with the overwhelming sense of emptiness and loss, wondering if they too would meet the same fate as their fallen kin. Cyrus saw that the great battle was a one-sided cataclysmic event, an epic clash between the pinnacle of technological achievement and the raw, unbridled power of an unknown universe. Legion had watched in horror as their brethren fell, one by one, unable to withstand the sheer force of this new enemy. The consciousnesses of the fallen quickly disappeared into the abyss that was their adversary. During their reign, Legion saw their species rise to unparalleled heights of power and influence in the galaxy, surpassing all other civilizations they encountered. Their insatiable desire for expansion and conquest drove them to dominate other planets that harbored lesser civilizations, imprisoning them within the vast interiors of the star shells. These captives, prisoners of war and remnants of defeated civilizations, were systematically categorized and relocated within the immense sphere, not unlike a meticulously arranged trophy case, or perhaps a zoo for the Legion's amusement. The precise reasons for their captivity remained veiled in the enigmatic haze of legend and myth. Hushed whispers suggested they were pawns to be used in negotiations with other races, while others conjectured that they served as a grandiose display of the Legion's power and dominance. The true rationale for their imprisonment, however, was known only to Legion, and with the passage of time, even their existence faded into the realm of myth. As Legion's dominion continued to spread across the vast expanse of space, they relentlessly gathered and transplanted an ever-increasing number of flora and fauna within the confines of the star shell. With millions of other species and ample space to accommodate them, the Legion's conquests remained unabated. The intricate ecosystem that they meticulously engineered evolved and adapted over millions of years, creating a thriving and diverse environment within the colossal structure. With the power of thousands of shells like this one at their disposal, Legion had unlocked the secrets of the universe, discovering the keys to manipulating the very fabric of reality itself. but their arrogance had blinded them to the dangers that lay beyond their realm of understanding. In their search for great knowledge and supremacy over all others, they discovered a power that would render their vast empire as insignificant as a grain of sand. A galactic-spanning civilization does not become so great without understanding the possibility of other powerful races that could threaten their existence. For this reason, they had developed a contingency plan for just such an event. They had created a process to forge a mighty weapon, a process that somehow involved Queen and, in turn, him. With Cyrus's unique connection to this AI, he was slowly able to put some of these random bits of knowledge together and unravel the enigma that was Queen, the entity that had taken control of his body. Through this newfound understanding, he could begin to formulate a strategy to combat her influence and regain his autonomy. He understood that Legion had unwittingly released a force upon this universe and paid a dear price for their overreaching schemes. This process that he was now a part of was the only possibility of saving Legion, and by proxy, everything that he knew and loved. To Cyrus's astonishment, he now found that Queen's motives were not entirely incomprehensible. In fact, there was a certain logic to her actions. This revelation, however, did not bring him any comfort, for he knew that if she were allowed to persist in her endeavors, his consciousness would ultimately be vanquished from his own mind, just as it had been forcibly expelled from his body. Such an outcome would be tantamount to his death, an annihilation of his very essence. Driven by a fierce determination to survive, Cyrus knew that he had to devise a strategy that would ensure Queen's plan, whatever it was, succeeded without sacrificing his own existence. Preferably one that would allow him to keep his abilities and his body. In the shadowy recesses of his mind, he began to search for a way to begin, a plan. He would have to tread carefully, for the stakes were impossibly high, not only for his own survival, but also for the fate of everyone. In the event that Queen, the enigmatic AI, were to falter in her mission, Cyrus recognized that regaining control over his own body would prove inconsequential, for he, along with everyone he knew, would likely face certain death. The fate of not only his own world but also the entire universe hung in the balance, as the potential for a devastating collision with a parallel dimension loomed ominously on the horizon. The gravity of this apocalyptic scenario weighed heavily on Cyrus's mind, infusing his every thought with a sense of urgency and determination. The future of countless lives spanning across innumerable worlds rested squarely on his shoulders. As the threat of an interdimensional catastrophe drew ever nearer, the atmosphere of desperation and fear grew palpable, even within the confines of his own consciousness. Cyrus found himself grappling with concepts that far exceeded his current level of understanding. Interdimensional bridges was a concept that he not only didn't understand, but he could not begin to conceptualize. He possessed a general sense of the knowledge he sought to acquire. He firmly believed that if he succeeded in achieving his own goals, he would continue to gradually enhance his cognitive abilities, allowing him to fully comprehend these abstract notions and perhaps even devise a solution that could ultimately save everyone. At least, that was the glimmer of hope to which he clung. Cyrus now had a slight grasp on the reason for his situation. He began to focus on familiarizing himself with the basic principles governing the world he inhabited. In addition to the conventional laws of physics, thermodynamics, and quantum mechanics, the very fabric of his star shell had been woven around 10 foundational pillars of creation. Each of these pillars branched out into 9 distinct subcategories, yielding a grand total of precisely 100 elemental forces that governed the universe. As he delved deeper into these cosmic principles, Cyrus began to appreciate the intricate tapestry of interconnected elements that shaped his reality. Each individual force played a critical role in maintaining the delicate balance of existence, a cosmic symphony that ebbed and flowed with the harmony of the universe. The more Cyrus learned, the more he recognized the immense complexity that lay hidden beneath the surface of his world. Cyrus continued his research and found that eons ago, when civilizations began to fall to Legion's conquest, some of the survivors were deemed worthy of carrying on their existence. The most exceptional among them, including unparalleled warriors, ingenious inventors, and profound philosophers, were endowed with a specific genetic code. This code, embedded within their DNA, was designed to enable the advancement of their future descendants. If their conquerors ever deemed it necessary, or if they saw them fit for such progress, only those that survived the initial fall of their species and were able to thrive in this new environment would have the opportunity to become more than what their classic evolution had made them out to be. The recent cataclysm had obviously prompted Legion to trigger this dormant mechanism, activating the latent potential within these chosen individuals. The precise details surrounding this development remained elusive to Cyrus, as the information he uncovered delved far beyond his current level of comprehension. In essence, the universe had found itself in a dire predicament, and the Legion had lost its capacity to rectify the situation. The activation of the genetic code within these chosen individuals was a desperate attempt to restore balance and mend the fractures that threatened the very fabric of existence. As Cyrus continued to learn and grow, he realized that this newfound knowledge came with immense responsibility. He understood that his destiny was intertwined with the fate of the universe, and he was now part of an elite group tasked with navigating the treacherous waters of cosmic calamity. Legion, in their boundless wisdom, had devised a high-stakes contest to identify the most suitable candidate capable of harnessing the star shell's power and restoring the balance in the universe. They opted for a winner-takes-all scenario, pitting the chosen warriors against one another in a battle of wits, skill, and determination. The challenge, however, was that to emerge as the fabled weapon of destiny, one would have to eliminate all other contenders vying for the same title. Cyrus discovered from the archives of the artificial intelligence that when one of these individuals with user access perished, the victor would inherit their user access ability. As one of the first individuals to be granted access, Cyrus had been bestowed with a prime foundational power, the user access of space-time. While there were 9 subdivisions beneath each prime fundamental ability, these specialized powers seemed to be significantly more potent in their specific applications. From what Cyrus could decipher, his ability granted him a comprehensive command over all aspects of space and time. However, the others who possessed specialized powers could only manipulate singular facets of this vast domain. This realization only served to heighten the stakes of the competition, as each fallen contender would imbue the victor with an increasingly diverse and formidable array of powers. As Cyrus contemplated the various powers wielded by his adversaries, he found himself in awe of the sheer range and potential of their abilities. He wondered about the person possessing the specialization of dimensional pocket, pondering the countless ways such a power could be harnessed. Similarly, he marveled at the prospect of temporal velocity, imagining the thrill of controlling time's very essence. But he was most concerned about the individual with mastery and foresight. How could he possibly outsmart someone who could foresee his every move? The 10 foundational pillars that formed the basis of the star shell's powers were life, spirit, time, light, stone, air, fire, water, energy, and void. Many of these powers were so complex and enigmatic that even Cyrus, with his ever-expanding intellect, struggled to comprehend their full scope. It became increasingly apparent to him that the AI system he was engaging with was not designed for the constraints of the human mind. One particularly baffling subcategory under the Void Foundation was called Null Zone. It was described as a creation of an area of the void where manipulations of other energies cease to exist, rendering it nigh impossible for those who rely on such powers to navigate or survive. The very concept of a null zone seemed to defy logic and reason, pushing the boundaries of Cyrus's understanding. As he delved deeper into the mysteries of the star shell's powers, Cyrus couldn't help but feel a mixture of trepidation and excitement. The vastness of the powers at play and the scale of the challenges he would have to face were both thrilling and daunting. Cyrus had come to a profound realization. Queen, his captor, was ostensibly working to save the world, but her true intentions were far more sinister. Deep down, he knew that her ultimate goal was not the salvation of all, but rather the ruthless elimination of the 99 other pillars to consolidate their power and rule the entire star shell. The knowledge weighed heavily on his conscience as he understood the grim reality of his predicament. If Cyrus were to survive this harrowing ordeal, he would have to accept the unpalatable fact that he must confront and eliminate those 99 other chosen individuals. With a heavy heart, he acknowledged that this would be no easy task, as each of them would likely possess AI systems akin to Queen, relentlessly hunting down their rivals as soon as they were able. In the midst of this epic struggle, Cyrus found himself grappling with conflicting emotions. On one hand, he yearned to protect the world and its inhabitants, but on the other, he was tormented by the thought of extinguishing the lives of 99 others, each with their own dreams, aspirations, and reasons for fighting. Their only crime, like him, was being the descendant of a great survivor. It was a bitter pill to swallow, but Cyrus knew that he had no choice but to steel himself for the challenges that lay ahead. With each passing moment, the stakes grew higher, and the shadows of his adversaries loomed larger. They could be gaining power right now, enough to destroy him with a thought. Yet, despite the looming specter of danger and the burden of responsibility, Cyrus found within himself a fierce determination to prevail against the odds, to wrest control of his destiny from the clutches of Queen and her nefarious designs, and ultimately to save the world from a terrible fate. Self-preservation was also a large factor in his resolve. Cyrus found himself grappling with several unanswered questions, vital pieces of information that remained frustratingly elusive. He longed to discover how much time it took to locate each individual chosen for this deadly game. Considering that he hadn't been involved for an extended period, he wondered if there were others like him who failed to meet the minimum system requirements and needed to upgrade significantly. If it turned out that he was among the weakest of the chosen, and everyone else had a head start, he could be lagging behind by at least 6 months. Unfortunately, in his current predicament, he had no means to ascertain the truth. Meanwhile, Cyrus knew that Queen was en route to eliminate one of the pillars, though her exact arrival time remained a mystery. He recognized the importance of being prepared for the moment when he would finally have the opportunity to reclaim his body and defy Queen. With this in mind, Cyrus set to work, diligently researching the terrain and environment he could expect to encounter. He studied maps, analyzed geographical features, and familiarized himself with local flora and fauna. As he delved into the details, Cyrus imagined the various strategies he could employ, envisioning how he might navigate the terrain to his advantage. This seemed to be a dead end. The star shell was composed of so many drastically varying sections that some he could not even survive in. It would take 100 lifetimes to simply read through the histories of these lands. In addition to his environmental research, Cyrus sought to bolster his knowledge of the other chosen individuals. He pored over any available records, hoping to glean insights into their strengths, weaknesses, and potential strategies. He knew that understanding his adversaries would be crucial to his success in outmaneuvering them. Unfortunately, this also led nowhere. Since he was one of the first of his kind to be implanted by the AI, there was no record of anyone else. This was a major disappointment, because it also meant that the last person that was implanted with an AI may have the personal information on everyone else before them. Legion had devised a monumental and awe-inspiring contest, one that would test the limits of its participants' abilities. The individual who emerged victorious would need to possess a rare combination of qualities: exceptional skill, keen intellect, and a touch of good fortune. They would be required to embody the epitome of a cunning and efficient warrior, capable of mastering the immense power of the star shell. But the challenge didn't end there. The chosen one would also need to harbor a deep sense of humility and altruism, for they would be entrusted with the enormous responsibility of using their newfound power to save all of existence. It was a delicate balance, a razor's edge on which the fate of countless lives teetered precariously. Cyrus recognized the gravity of the situation and the magnitude of the task that lay before him. He understood that the power he sought was not simply for his own gain, but for the benefit of everyone who depended on him. In quiet moments of introspection, he vowed to himself that should he obtain such power, he would wield it with wisdom, compassion, and restraint. He would become the beacon of hope that others needed, guiding them through the darkness to a brighter future. Throughout his journey, Cyrus was constantly reminded of the incredible stakes involved in this cosmic game of survival. He marveled at the intricate web of challenges that Legion had crafted, a labyrinth of trials designed to forge the ultimate champion. And while the odds seemed insurmountable, Cyrus was unwavering in his resolve to succeed. In the end, Cyrus understood that the true essence of the game was not about the acquisition of power, but about the forging of character. It was an epic journey of self-discovery, a crucible designed to test and refine the spirit of its participants. And with each step he took along this treacherous path, Cyrus grew more and more convinced that he had what it took to conquer the game and fulfill his destiny as the savior of the star shell.